10, 5:30 news.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. A welcome and much needed sight that we haven't seen this summer. An all-day rain greeting the Magic City. This is a live look from the Stockman Bank weather cam. Not only the rain that made today feel different, but the big-time temperature drop that came along with it. We'll start our team coverage by bringing in Chief Meteorologist Ed McIntosh. We haven't needed those umbrellas much this summer, but they certainly came in handy today. How much rain did we get?
Well, it depended really on where we were. Pretty much from Billings towards the west is where we saw most of it. Now, this is all from Doppler indications, but we also checked some of the rain totals. Livingston, you were just shy of an inch at the airport, doubled the old record. Here in Billings, almost 6/10 of an inch. And over the last 24 hours, Great Falls has picked up almost 1.4 inches of rainfall. Now, once you get into the eastern plains, notice things have been a lot drier there. We're continuing to watch some of those rain showers develop, but a lot of that push of rain right now is moving north of Billings up into north central and northeastern Montana. Here's a look at future radar, what we expect here in the next 24 hours. Another wave starts to move up from Wyoming through southeastern Montana, where it could really use some of that moisture. That will continue off and on over the course of the next couple of days. Well, I've been comfortably working here in the studio, so we decided to send Matt out to tell you about the cooler temperatures.
Thanks, Ed. With these hot and dry conditions that we've been having, it's nicer to have a cooler, rainy day. I can't remember the last time I had to wear a jacket or even see puddles out in the street. And it seems like the grass is even greener and happier on this rainy Wednesday. Now, this is the chilliest day we've had since May 26th. We are 35 to 45 degrees cooler as of right now than we were 24 hours ago. And we did, as of right now, break a record with an unofficial high of 59 degrees. The previous record was set on August 18th today at 61 degrees in 2005. Now, enjoy today while it lasts if you like the cooler and rainier weather, because as we get into the next 7 days, we are going to see those temperatures step back up, and we could see 80s temperatures by the beginning of next week. Ed will have more with the weather in just a little bit. Back to you, Russ.
All right, thank you, Matthew. On the COVID-19 front, Montana's numbers continue to trend in the wrong direction on nearly all fronts, and that's especially true here in Yellowstone County right now. On a day when the state reported 436 new cases, Yellowstone County saw 58 of those, bringing the county's active case mark to nearly 500. According to Riverstone Health, Yellowstone County has seen right around 800 new cases in August so far. For comparison, only 451 cases were reported in the entire month of July. The county also reported one more death today. The most recent, a woman in her 40s who had not been vaccinated and had no known underlying health conditions. 56 total patients are in Billings hospitals at this hour, while more than 200 Montanans remain hospitalized tonight. Well, here in Yellowstone County, Riverstone Health has 2 more free vaccination clinics scheduled for the rest of August. The first coming up this Friday, August 20th at Riverstone Health's Lil Anderson Center. That will run from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. And then the final clinic this month is slated for Monday, August 30th. That also runs from 11 until 1. Well, the Biden administration is recommending a third COVID-19 vaccination shot. Those with compromised immune systems will be the first to take the third dose booster shot. The third shot must be taken 8 months after the second shot. Many will not be eligible for the third dose booster shot until September 20th, but the immune-compromised people may take that 28 days after their second shot. The recommendation is to take the same vaccine from either Pfizer or Moderna.
You're certainly more protected after the second dose, and it's about 95%. But what appears to be happening is over time that immunity wanes a little bit, which is why the third dose is now being recommended for 8 months out. If you don't have a compromised immune system, then you really are just boosting your overall immune system. People who have immune system problems, they need a little more dose of a vaccine to get their immune system fully up to speed.
The recommendation is expected to get approval from the FDA and the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices. Well, the Rocky Mountain Tribal Leaders Council is holding a 3-day conference in Billings to talk about tribal public health. Q2's Brandon Warren stopped by to check it out.
Members of several tribes from across the state are attending a Billings conference to discuss a new era in tribal public health.
They're sharing science. They're sharing language, they're sharing songs, they're sharing culture on the tribal public health to COVID-19, as well as diabetes, suicide, homicide, and those kinds of, we call them disparities.
The conference features guest speakers from all walks of life, including elders, doctors, nurses, and scientists. These speakers give insight in their respective fields and give information on how to live a healthier life.
It's important because of the mental health. Because we've been in a pandemic for 16 months, and the level of anxieties, the level of stress, the level of healing that needs to happen. And that's what's happening today, is the healing.
Theda mentioned that the audience was so engaged in some presentations that they lost track of time and nearly forgot to go to lunch. The main goal of the conference is to inspire those who attend.
We believe that Montana is a state that is in transition in a good way, where there's really good acceptance and alliances built between all the humans here, no matter what their color is. We believe that we can heal from some of the isms of racism, sexism, ageism, and that it's a good place to live, and I think people are ready to do that.
The conference also discussed COVID-19 and how some tribes will deal with it going forward. In Billings, Brandon Warren, MTN News.
Thanks, Brandon. The last day of that conference will be tomorrow. Many eyes in the world right now trained on Afghanistan as unrest continues after the Taliban seized power. It's a situation drawing reactions from leaders across the country, including Montana Senators Jon Tester and Steve Daines.
It's a horrible situation, but it would have been a horrible situation if the president would decide to leave our troops there too, because the agreement would have ran out in May and our troops would have been shot at and potentially killed. I think 20 years in any war is long enough, and so I think it was time to bring them home. I think people can play politics or pick holes in what has happened here, and by the way, there may be blame to go around. I'm not alleviating any of that, but in the end, what's really important is we get our troops home, we get the people who helped us safe, and we let the Afghan people take their country over. There's no reason that it had to be like this, but it's a different world than we live in, and I think it shows the fact that if we'd stayed there another 10 years, I'm not sure it would have changed a damn thing.
Senator Steve Daines put the blame on President Biden, saying he withdrew our troops from Afghanistan with no strategy or plan, and it has endangered our armed forces, put American lives at risk, made America less safe and secure, weakened our allies, and triggered a humanitarian crisis. Well, President Biden has made it clear that the U.S. mission in Afghanistan was never to nation build, but based on the amount of money and time the U.S. invested into the Afghan military operations over the years, there was certainly a lot of effort to try and change the country for the better. But was that a foolish task, especially when you look at the long history of the country? Our Joe St. George going in depth on the countries that tried to invade Afghanistan and failed, and why the instability right now isn't the first time it's happened there.
It is a country located over 7,000 miles away from the United States, Afghanistan. And while the images from Kabul and elsewhere have been shocking, from a historical standpoint, what's happened in this Southwest Asian country is not entirely a surprise. The country has been nicknamed the graveyard of empires by historians, based on the fact that many foreign powers have tried to change it over the years, with most failing. In 1221, Genghis Khan, the legendary leader of the Mongol Empire, lost his grandson in a battle in Afghanistan. Great Britain tried 3 separate times to invade the country between 1839 and 1919. Each time, even after early successes, they failed, losing to Afghan tribesmen. In one battle alone, 16,000 British troops and civilians were killed. The British retreat from Kabul was nicknamed the disaster in Afghanistan. The Soviet Union tried to conquer it from 1979 through 1989. It again ended in defeat. Over 15,000 Soviet Union troops were killed. In fact, in 1963, British Prime Minister Harold Macmillan declared, "Rule number 1 in politics, never invade Afghanistan."
So why has Afghanistan perplexed so many foreign powers over the centuries? There may be more than one answer. Some historians say that local tribesmen are fiercely loyal to one another. Others point to the fact that Afghanistan has harsh winters and mountainous conditions that eventually wear down their adversaries.
The truth is, this did unfold more quickly than we had anticipated.
However you define what's happened in the last few days in Afghanistan, for President Biden, it represents his greatest foreign policy challenge yet since taking office. But he doesn't appear to be changing his mind about withdrawing American troops. As a result, the United States is joining a long history of foreign powers failing to change Afghanistan. Over the last 20 years, 2,400 plus American soldiers were lost. More than 20,000 Americans were injured. And the Taliban is now back in charge. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Up next on tonight's MTN 530 News here on Q2. This week, back in 1959, Yellowstone National Park experienced an historic earthquake. We'll visit with one of the first reporters on the scene, a familiar face if you watched Q2 over the years.